Hello and welcome back to Obsessive Prepper AZ. I got a heck of a deal on some apples here, and I'm going to get them cleaned and sliced and put them in my dehydrator to make apple chips. And dehydrating apples is so simple and easy to do. If you've never done it before, I strongly suggest get a dehydrator. I don't care if it's the little Nesco round one. That's what I started with, and I ended up giving that to my daughter once I got my Excalibur. Your biggest difference between your Nesco, your round dehydrators, and your Excalibur dehydrator is the Nesco's round and the motor's on top. So the motor, the air's got to flow down and try to get to those trays. Whereas on an Excalibur, you've got square trays, which makes it handy for beef jerky, and the motor is in the back. So when it goes through, it literally comes through all your different shelves. That's the neat thing about an Excalibur. I used to use my Nesco, and what I would have to do is shift my trays quite a bit so that I could dehydrate. If I wanted to do beef jerky, I had to try to get them in that ring versus lay them out straight. But I used my Nesco for years. I have links down below in our Amazon store of the Nesco and the Excalibur. And I just strongly suggest, if you haven't got into dehydrating, this is amazing, especially for preppers when you're trying to get your vegetables and store things for longer term. I'm talking 10, 20 years, your corns, your green beans, all your kinds of vegetables, to get those stored, but also your apples, and to be able to have healthy snacks for your family. I literally put these in the dehydrator. I'll sprinkle some cinnamon over them, and we have healthy snacks. I have a video that shows you how to cook with your dehydrated apples. So yummy. I have a muffin video that's out. Primarily, I'm doing this because I got a heck of a deal on this, and my number one grandson, I call him my number one because I have 4 grandchildren. My number one is turning 14, and every year I give him Slim Jims, so I'm going to give him 14 Slim Jims, and I also make him apple chips. So this is kind of like a birthday present. I got a heck of a deal on it, and I figured I'd show you how I go about doing this. Now what I've got here is a bowl. I'll fill this up with water. I'll cut a couple lemons and squeeze the lemon juice in my water. That'll keep my apples from turning. We don't want them to turn brown. So we've got some water. I've got a rinsed off lemon here. Just going to squeeze our lemon juice into our water mixture. And then I just throw the lemons inside the water. Now, if you've never seen one of these, this is an apple peeler and corer and slicer. Amazing. I've got links of those down in our Amazon store also. Makes the job so much easier than trying to peel the apple. Now, when you have one of these, you want firm apples. If they are too mushy, then it falls apart, it gets caught, and it doesn't necessarily do the job all that well. And all we do is spin it. It cores it, and it slices, and it peels it. How easy is that? We pop it out. We've got our apples already cored. Get rid of that one part. And then I just put this in my water. And there's our core. I'm going to go ahead and get this done, and then I'll show you what my next step is. Again, so simple. So here's one of our sliced apples, and you can see it's accordion. And what I do is where this little cut's at right here, I will take my knife and I'll cut straight down through the apple. And by doing that, now you have perfect apple rings. How cool is that? This is my last apple. It's been about 20 minutes for me to do those 3 big bags of apples, which is really quick when you think about it. And the mess is next to none which means your cleanup is easy. My bowls are flowing over here. And then to clean, all I do is pretty much spray it off with water. And if you haven't watched my videos in the past, I love these little serving trays. I've got a link down below in our Amazon store. Everything gets caught up into the tray. So literally it's not all over your counter, and all I've got to do is take this over to my sink and get rid of it, and I don't have a mess. So I have all my dehydrator trays out here. I've got them on top of one of my trays with some paper towel. That's to catch any kind of cinnamon that is like going through my different racks. And I will not have a mess. It'll just be on paper towels that I can throw away. Alrighty, there's one tray. You could put some sugar sprinkled on if you want. I have never done that. My grandson, he likes them just the way they are. I'm going to go ahead and load this first tray into my dehydrator. I'm going to go ahead and finish loading up my dehydrator, and I'll get back with you. Our apples are completely loaded into the trays. I used all 9 trays for those 3 bags of apples. On our Excalibur, our motor's on the back. So when the motor is spinning, it's blowing across all 9 trays. And like I said, on the Nesco, the motor and the fan is at the top. So literally it's got to try to get down into all those plastic trays, where these are those sheets. And all the air flows real nice in an Excalibur. So I know I've got even dehydrating going on. Whereas on the Nesco, I had to shift those. So this is the top of our Excalibur. I went ahead and set our thermometer for 135 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and set it for 6 hours. I think I've got it 6 hours. It's going to take in between 6 and 8 hours for me to dehydrate my apples. I'm going to go ahead and let these cook for 6 hours. I'll check them and we'll see if we need to go any longer on them. So it's the next morning. I dehydrated my apples for exactly 8 hours. The beauty about the Excalibur is because it does have a timer. I set it for 8 hours. I woke up this morning and my apples are completely done. And just to give you an idea how they turn out, like I said, I like to do my apples with the brown sugar on them. And when they snap, you know that they're done. And these you can put in jars, in mason jars, in FoodSaver bags to store them longer, an airtight container. What I'll do is put some paper towel down, and then that way it catches all my cinnamon. I'm going to go ahead and get my apples out of the tray. Now when we started with 2 huge bowls of apples. And I'm going to give you an idea of what the shrinkage is on apples when you dehydrate them. All right, so we are completely done. Again, easy cleanup. All I have to do is get rid of my paper towels that have all my cinnamon on it. So this is our finished product. We had 2 full bowls of apples when we started, and this is what we're down to. And we've taken all the moisture out of our apples, dehydrated them, and so when you reconstitute them, remember that you've got that liquid that you've got to put in them if you put in a recipe or something like that. Check out my muffin recipe and I'll show you how to cook with your dehydrated apples. But other than that, what a wonderful treat at your desk, for your husband's snack, for your kids at school, on top of having a shelf-stable apple that you can have. So if something happened, you can pull it out and cook a pie with it or a muffin. Bonus all the way around. A healthy treat, food storage, shelf-stable, awesome. So by having an apple slicer, it makes our job so much easier to do our apples, to make our apple rings. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. And if you want to be notified for future videos, ring the bell. Have a blessed day.